Okay, I'm going to get started because we've got a lot of information to cover. Once again, thank you all for joining us. This is going to be a wonderful series, and I hope you each can attend each and every one of them. I am so pleased to welcome back our host and instructor for the evening, Jasper Smith, author and educator. His book is called The Build Wealth Challenge. And he's dynamite. That's all I can say. I attended the series last year and I was just amazed. And so this is no bias. I really was amazed. And I was just telling him a little earlier that I actually applied a lot of the principles that he covered with us. And I'm not rich yet. I don't have the wealth yet, but I have the mindset. And speaking of mindset, that's what our topic is for tonight. I also put in the chat the list that you see here in the flyer of all of the upcoming workshop topics. So please make a note of them. And also please, if you did not join our mailing list, please do, so that we can make sure that you have the updates of all our upcoming topics. Okay, without further ado, Jasper Smith.
All right, Charlotte, thank you so much for that warm introduction, and thank you for that testimony. I didn't ask for it, but I appreciate the shout out. We had a great time last year doing this series, and I'm just fortunate enough to be invited back to do it again this year. And I think I want to say we did 5 last year. I think we added an additional session this year. Excuse me. And so we have a lot of time, and you'll see a lot of me over the next couple of weeks. And the timing of this was very intentional. April is Financial Literacy Month. And so we felt like this was a great opportunity to get people to not only to participate in the month, but to like really focus. You know, a year goes by very quickly, as we all know, but what do we have to show for all of our efforts? And what I will try to do again this year is take you through what I feel like is the process to financial planning. And as a financial expert, practitioner, educator, advisor, planner, coach, there's just steps we shouldn't skip. But when it comes to financial planning, we tend to want to skip them. And I'm pretty sure that everybody on this session who has ever gone on a vacation, you went through a very particular process before you did it. Most people don't just wake up and go to the airport and buy a ticket and then figure it out. If you do, hats off to you. I don't have that lifestyle yet. I can't do that yet, but life goes. But with financial planning, we tend to want to skip around. And so what happens is we run up against these issues where we may be focusing or prioritizing the wrong thing. And so over the course of these next couple of weeks, you'll see the layout here, or the lineup is tonight's all about money mindset, because I think that's where it begins. It begins upstairs. And then we talk about money management. We'll lead into credit. We'll talk about life insurance, investments, and also retirement. And so as any, session that I give, I always say, take what you need, discard what you don't. Some of you, or I mean, honestly, all of you are probably in a different spot or space in terms of where you are on your, what I like to call your build wealth journey. But maybe there's some things you pick up. Maybe there are some strategies you never even heard of before. And so hopefully we'll touch on a lot of those ideas over the course of these next couple of weeks. And the one ask that I have for everybody, I did the same thing last year. I do understand that people can't attend every single session, but at least register. Because if you at least register, you'll get the reminders. And then if you somehow forgot, don't worry, you'll get the reminder. Or I also want you to consider sharing this effort with one other person. And I just mean one, because when I think about how I can make an impact on the world, well, I can't do it by myself. And so if everybody who's on the session right now had one more person on this session with them, we double the number of people who would get this message, or who would get the message next week or the week after that and the following. So I always ask that you continue to sign up and register for the event or the series in total, but also invite a friend to attend with you. All right. So with that, I will actually, Charlotte, I'm going to, let me see here. If you can stop sharing for a moment, Charlotte, I'm take over the reins and hop into my deck. But
Sure. There you go.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Give me a second here. Let me hop back in. Okay. All right. So everybody should be able to see my screen okay. If you can, just give me a quick thumbs up if you got your camera on. Everybody can see this first slide. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So again, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, before we kick things off tonight, and we'll do this with every session, is this will kind of help me understand who is in the audience. And so we'll have a poll each night that we do this session. Some will be very basic yes or no questions. Others will be, some more thought-provoking types of questions. Some will be questions that you may have been afraid to ask yourself. And so this is one of these things that it helps me as I go through the presentations, but also too, maybe it's something you haven't addressed. And maybe this is that first step, just acknowledging that you need some help. And I think if a lot of us can make that first step, we can all improve our situation. No matter where you are, I think just coming to grips with it about where we are currently makes things a lot easier going forward. All right, so let's get some great responses here. So you'll see the first question again. Both of these are just simple yes or no questions. So I'm loving the results to question 1. Okay. I love it. And then question 2. Well, question 1 is around, do I believe? We're talking about mindset tonight. So that's a very critical point. You got to believe. So good there. And the second one is, dealing around, I would like to improve my financial management skills starting today. And I appreciate the responses to that one simply because it starts today. And something that I typically do with my clients, I always tell them that we can't go back in the past. And I know we've all lived, things have happened. Can't go back and change it. But we can look forward to figure out what we're going to do next. And I want to encourage all of you that no matter what situation you're in right now, let's just think about where it is we want to go. All right, so we'll leave this up for another couple seconds. I think we've got just about everybody who's probably responded. So thank you all for taking the time to do the poll. And again, each night we do these sessions, we'll have a poll to kind of kick things off. So, all right, thank you all for that. Right. And so tonight's session is about money mindset. And my goal for tonight is, I think it's simple, but when I start to unpack some of the stuff, it's not that simple. But again, I deal with this every single day. So I'm way more comfortable having the conversation all the time. But for you, you may not have that level of comfort. But, my goal for this session tonight is to change the way you think and feel about money in order for you to achieve financial peace of mind. And I actually believe that if we change the way we think about some of these things, our situation can improve, but just again, being in the right mindset. But it's also those feelings or emotions. Money is emotional. And I'm hoping that as we go through this series that you can understand your emotions as it relates to certain financial things, but also begin to see how your emotions may have impacted your situation and just getting comfortable with them. And in a later session, when we talk about investments or even some of these things, if we could take the emotions out of the equation, it's easier for us to make the decision. So I know this is just step 1, maybe for some of you, but just know that my goal, again, is to change the way you think and feel. If I only do one of those, that's okay. But hopefully throughout this series that I can do both, because if we change the way we think and feel, we can do a lot of things differently as it relates to our financial plans. And let me say this too, before I hop in, if there are any questions along the way, because we have a sizable group, I'm always going to ask that we consider leveraging the chat. I'll definitely try to pause throughout to kind of pop in and see how the chat is coming, but also to Charla and Simone maybe helping me out. So if I get on the roll and you've typed something in, it's okay to unmute yourself. Say, hey, Jasper, I had a question. Just, we'll fill it out, but we should have plenty of time. Don't feel like you have to wait until the end to ask questions. Like I'll actually love interruptions in some of these. It just makes the session go a lot smoother. But yeah, let's definitely leverage the chat. If you got questions, don't be afraid, because I don't mind answering those questions for you. And I'll just be honest with you, this is a safe space for you. So don't feel like you can't ask it. Somebody's probably thinking the same thing. So we can keep this kind of open and have a good dialogue. And yeah, you do not have to wait until the end to pop in a question, or if you want to chime in, feel free to do so. All right. So tonight we're talking about mindset, and it's everything to me. And I think this image is the epitome of like mindset in my book. So I make up a story for this. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of stories, but my thinking is both of these gentlemen got an email or a text message that said there's some jewels, but you got to get your pick. And if you follow this map, you're going to find the jewels. And so the guy on the bottom, he was probably like, I have been out here for a minute, going at it, making progress, and I don't see these jewels. So now I don't know if my instructions were correct. I don't know if somebody was just playing with me. And so he clearly is giving up and just going to turn around. And with one more swing of his pick, there are the jewels right there. And then the guy on the top, same email or same text message. He's eagerly just going at it. Got the same message. So he knows if I keep going, I'll find the jewels, I'll reach them. And so I think this image is very indicative of what happens in our lives sometimes, where sometimes it's just not working. And you feel bad and you start getting down on yourself, but you got to keep going. I need you to keep the optimism and be like the guy up top. Like, I know it's hard because life isn't easy, y'all. I get it. I go through life stuff too. But I think of those jewels in this image as like success to me in life. And that's how you want to frame it sometimes is, are you going hard enough to make a change? And do you have the resolve to continue, even though the path may not be as clear as you would like it to be? And so when we're talking about money, that happens to a lot of us. People tell you to invest because you should, and over a long period of time, you'll see the results, but people don't invest. Or people say, you should save and pay yourself first, but people don't do it. An emergency happens, and now you wish you would have saved. And so we find ourselves in these situations because sometimes we just don't believe. I don't believe nothing's going to happen to me, so therefore I don't do it. Or maybe I don't believe that I can achieve this stuff. So that poll question was, kind of basic in nature, but it's really indicative of, do you even believe? I can't make you believe. I can't. It's got to come from within, but I'm sure we always are consuming information about what success looks like, what wealth looks like, what being rich looks like. And I know that when we consume such imagery and listen to our friends, it's just, how do we internalize that and put it into action? And putting it into action is the key. So again, mindset, especially when we're talking about money, is everything. And I'm not the only one who talks this way. Like there are a lot of financial gurus who talk about just getting your mind right, get you ready for this journey. And financial planning, financial freedom typically is a lifelong journey. Typically, unless you were born into a massive amount of wealth, most of us got to build it. Or maybe we're building it in order to leave an incredible legacy for my children or your community or your family. So, again, if we get in the right frame of mind, we can do anything, honestly. But especially when it comes to money, we want to make sure we're thinking about things in a positive manner and just continuing to believe that we can make this happen, whatever this is. All right. So as we talk about mindset, I want to walk you through the various financial personalities. And what I'll say is as I go through these, you may feel like I'm talking directly to you. And that's a good thing. Okay? Because we're acknowledging that we understand our money personality. So there are 4 personalities in total. And honestly, everybody has probably been one of these, or you may be striving to achieve one of these, or you're trying to not be this type of personality anymore. So again, we are all human. And so I definitely fit into all 4 of these. I have, again, I have the same struggles as you do sometimes. I don't always get it right. And I'm a financial planner. Don't always get it right because my mind tells me to do one thing. And then when I look at my money, sometimes I do another. So, so with the personalities, again, there are 4 in total. We'll walk through each one of these so that way you kind of get an idea of, yeah, I think he's talking to me, and that's okay because now we're just acknowledging the fact that we understand ourselves. All right. So the first one is the denier. So the denier, I'll be real honest, this is your procrastinator. And this guy in the image, he know good and well that bus leave at 8:15. And he just rolled up and said, yeah, I'm gonna get there when I get there. And the bus is like, we ain't waiting for you. That's life, y'all. You can wait all you want to, but depending on what it is you're going after, it might not wait for you. So that bus, gone. Good luck. I hope another one's coming. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe he's gonna have to walk to work. Maybe I don't know what he's gonna have to do, but buddy right here just say, you know what? I thought it was about me. I'm gonna take my time, and here we are. And so with a denier, you sometimes don't think that you need to take action right away. So if we're talking about your money, somebody may say to themselves, well, I'm a young professional and I have a lot of time left to start putting money away for retirement. Okay. But if you ask somebody who may be nearing retirement, they say the exact opposite. You might want to start now because it's going to come up, it's going to creep up on you. Unless you have this magic crystal ball and you know the day you're going to leave this earth, I would hope you do some things differently, especially when it comes to retirement. So maybe you are one of these who says, I just can't do it until the pressure zone. Let's not wait until that time. Again, I'm human too. I procrastinate on things too. And some of us will say, well, I'm real good when I don't have a lot of time or I'm up against a deadline. I do my best work. But think about how stressed you are during that time. You may produce incredible results. But imagine if you gave yourself a little bit more time to actually do the work when you weren't stressed. I mean, somebody's probably like, yeah, he right. So what do
I'm
y'all
so
do?
procrastinator right here. That's me. I just have
Every
to admit, you was naming me.
we got the truth. Look, y'all, the truth, thank you for sharing that because this is the step, y'all. Again, we're gonna talk a lot over the course of this series about all these different financial planning items, but just understanding who you are is helpful as you go through the process. So if you know you're a procrastinator, you need some simple things that can help you to avoid procrastinating. That's it. Whatever it is. So for this guy on the screen here, maybe it's the alarm he needs to set. Maybe it's maybe somebody's got to bet him like, hey man, every time you miss the bus to go to work, you owe me $20. Like, I don't know, but it's got to be something simple and easy so that way you can make the commitment. And some you may never get out of your procrastinating ways. And maybe you get through life and it doesn't harm you in any kind of major way. But procrastinating with your money, oh, you're going to lose. If you don't invest and give yourself a lot of time, then you forego like compounding interest, right? So if you don't save right away, you keep waiting, an emergency going to happen. And again, you're going to wish you had saved the money. But you need to start thinking about simple. Again, I don't know how simple it needs to be, but for you, you got to think about what's something that I can commit to that's easy that will allow me to stop procrastinating. I'll give y'all one more before I hop off of this one. So I procrastinate every year before I file my taxes. Like my CPA sends me an email in January. Hey, submit all your information once you get it. I like waiting until February because then I finally have like all my documents. And y'all know what happens. I always meant to call them back or to start pulling the files together. And in the email every year, it's like, here's the cutoff date, or else we might not file on time. And Lord knows I am uploading stuff at 11:59 the day before. And they know it. And I've been doing it for years. Told y'all I ain't perfect. I do procrastinate. So I fall into this bucket as well because I stay not submitting my tax stuff in a timely manner. I see we got a hand. Yeah, go ahead. Is it Kali? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Kali. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't, Kali. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. So what a lot of procrastination, sorry. One of like your budget might help to we procrastinate about, because sometimes we just get money and we spend money. That new year go out, go start with.
Hey, Kylie, hold on for I'm having a little trouble hearing you. It's like you're going in and out. I'm not sure how close you are to your microphone, but I could hear you, but it was kind of going in and out. Try. Go again.
I said, can you hear me better now?
Yeah. Yep.
I was just saying that a lot of that procrastination sometimes comes like not really knowing what we're gonna do. Get money, spend money, get that constant Jordans for your child. But maybe like I'm trying to get a good budget going. When I'm procrastinating, like I should have did this, but I didn't. But maybe I'm speaking too soon.
Yeah. So, and to your point, Colin, so think about how you feel when you don't follow through on something. I think that's what you're getting at too. Like we know we should do things differently, but we just don't. We're just human. So I want people to think about, like, again, whatever you've got to do to help you avoid procrastinating, I'm going to support it. Again, there's no one way to get things done, but you've got to be willing to try to do something a little bit different just so you can get different results. Again, if you're doing the same stuff over and over and you know that procrastinating is hurting you, stop doing it. There needs to be an intervention.
True enough.
Or you will go insane, and that's the definition. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You're gonna go crazy doing that. And I don't want you to do that. Just, hey, if it's not working, let's figure out something different.
Figure out something different, and that's the key to know when I'm procrastinating. Because if you reach to the same circle, you reach to the same dynamics, you reach to the same skill, you don't know that you're not doing something different because you've never done it different. You can't gotta know what different is to try it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Carly. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. So next is my strugglers. All right, this image is pretty indicative. I think y'all got an idea. It's gonna be really hard to push that boulder up the hill. And some of us are living this life. And my strugglers are, you're the person who says, like, I'm living check to check, or I feel like I'm living check to check. Like, it always just feels like it's almost like you're walking in quicksand. Like, I could have had that image. Like, you just don't feel like you're making any progress. And so for my strugglers out there, I've been there. And I've been there primarily because I've gone off and decided to be an entrepreneur. And so, money gets tight sometimes. And, you don't know how you're going to figure it out. But somehow, some way, I'm still alive and I'm here today in front of y'all. So something happened, right? But I think sometimes if you have a job or gainful employment or even a business that's producing an income, you don't have to be a struggler. I think that's what I want to get at here with the strugglers is similar to this. Like, I got to change something in my life so I don't keep working in this way that's not producing the results. Like, I'm making life a lot harder on myself because I won't make the commitment to do something different. Doesn't always have to be that way, y'all. I have not had a job multiple times. I didn't crumble. I mean, I was in a funky space. I'll put it that way. Been on unemployment a couple times, questioning my abilities. I've gone through it, but I got out of it. Like, do you believe you can get up? If you take a punch and you fall down, will you get up? And some of us don't. And what I've also seen from the strugglers is we tend to glorify the struggle. And I've seen that happen in a lot of communities across the country. I've done a lot of these sessions, And I just listen to how people talk. Like, they don't feel like they can do it. They don't feel like they're smart enough. They don't feel like they'll ever make enough money. They don't feel like, there's always some like this, and it's glorified that we're going to struggle, and we're never going to figure it out. And I'm like, that's sad, because I do know that there are success stories that occur from struggle. And so what I would love to see the world is we celebrate the success, but actually show people how you get there. See, in this kind of popcorn style country we live in now, I mean, look, I'll be honest with y'all. I got a homie back. I'm from North Carolina originally, and they've always been one of these strugglers. And then I swear to you, in like 2 months, they were posting pictures of like Benzes and Beamers and houses. And I'm like, what kind of scam they running? Because I didn't see the work. This person has always struggled financially, and I've tried to help, but they just weren't listening to me. And so I kept asking, like, yo, why do they keep doing this? And then all of a sudden, boom, they're successful. Now, of course, I haven't had that follow-up conversation, because sometimes you don't just have that kind of instant success. And so for my strugglers out there, you need a little bit of education around whatever it is around, your money related issue. Educate yourself. That's going to help you to avoid struggling. You want to do a little bit of planning, and I mean simple planning that can help you, again, get out of the struggle. And then you need a little bit of motivation. So you need some education, some planning, and some motivation. Now motivation sometimes comes from within. Other times it's going to come from your community, your friends, or your family. Now, I'm not going to go down this wormhole, but some people know your family and your friends are not giving you the positivity you need to be successful. And that's a whole nother conversation. But when we're talking about money, if your whole crew is on the struggle bus, why doesn't one of you get off the bus? Did you ever stop to ask that question? Like, if everybody's just not doing what we need to do, and we're struggling as a unit, as a family, as a friend group, how do we change this dynamic? All of y'all on the same bus going in the same direction. Somebody's got to stand up and say, yo, this can't happen anymore. This shouldn't be our reality. Somebody's got to stand up and say, I am going to do something different. Don't know how I'm going to do it just yet. And maybe that's the little bit of motivation that everybody around you needed. Somebody needs to speak up, and we got to stop the struggle, because we can avoid it. But again, you need a little bit of education, some planning, and motivation. And just you can get past this. So I've been where y'all are. I've struggled before, but I stopped hanging around negative people, so I didn't have to worry so much around the negativity. It was, hey, Jasper, keep working. Hey, Jasper, keep trying. Hey, Jasper, that was a setback, man. You still young. Keep going, brother. Keep going. But like, at some point, I started internalizing that. And so I finally figured it out. Or I tend to think I figured some things out, but I'm still learning. So we can avoid the struggle. But again, it's going to take a little bit of work. All right, next is, Carly, I see your hand. You got something else you want to chime in with?
Yes, indeed. Real quick, I don't make this long, but I agree. Birds and feathers flock together.
Hey, Carly, hold on. So we're still having the audio issue. I can see you moving around, but like, can you speak closer to your mic? Because it's going in and out, so we're catching like pieces of what you're saying. But if you can like get right up on your microphone and then speak, we'll be able to hear you clearly.
Is this better? If it's not, you hear me now?
Nah, it's still like it's now it's like a deeper echo.
Okay, wow. Okay, well, I'll mute myself.
Okay, all good.
Jasper, you're muted.
You muted yourself by accident.
Oh, yep. Thank you. So next up we have our impulsives, and I'm gonna admit I have issues with this sometimes, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna be perfect at not doing impulsive stuff. I'm a lot better now, but in my 20s, like, I loved going out on a weeknight just because, I didn't have to save it for the weekend. And I wouldn't always think about my money when I'm out having fun. And so I'm okay admitting that I too am human, and I make impulsive decisions. And I would go out There are things that, hey, I just want to buy it. So I buy it and don't think about my entire strategy. And I sometimes will put spending money ahead of saving or ahead of investing and ahead of my retirement plan. And at some point, I realized that I just can't keep doing this. Like, well, take it back. I could keep doing it, but I won't have a lot to show for all this quote unquote hard work that I'm doing. And being impulsive is hard because it's more of that emotional connection, right? So this person, like this image, when you go to the grocery store, if you made a list, you wouldn't buy extra stuff. Yeah, I do know that, right? But some people may go into the grocery store and walk up and down each and every aisle. You in there too long. That's too much sensory overload. You buy extra stuff. And so we gotta try to understand what prompts us to make these impulse purchases. Charlotte, go ahead. You got a question? Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned to you earlier, emotional spending, impulsive spending is my all-time ultimate weakness. And I've experienced that since I was a kid, from buying candy and gum and going in and getting, chips too. I didn't even want that. But I mean, are there tips like they say when you go to the grocery store, don't go hungry?
Yep.
That type of
Yep.
thing. I mean, are there other tips for impulsive buyers such as myself?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The emotional piece, especially.
Yeah. The couple things. So one, you've got to implement some type of strategy to help you avoid spending the extra money, whatever that might be. I'll give you an example. So I had a client I was helping with retirement planning, and she was a shopper, like always looking fly. And I said, look, you put a lot of money into your wardrobe, but your retirement account looks a little light. And so we had a discussion, and she said, I like nice things. And she had a very good story as to why she does what she does. And what I realized is that as we're talking about these emotions, shopping was like part therapy for her. Like she had gone through a divorce and, kid stuff. And it was just like shopping was like her release, but it was also jeopardizing her like retirement plan. I said, if you can't curb some of the spending, then you're not going to be able to retire when you want to. And so we kind of came up with this idea of, I'll make you a deal. Every time you go buy, I think her thing was shoes and bags and the occasional trip. I said, all right, cool. So every time you buy a pair of shoes, can you at least put the same amount of money into your savings account or this retirement account? And so Charlotte, my idea for her was we just played the game. If you're going to spend money over here, I need you to put money away over there, whatever the amount was. So I think whatever shoe she had on that day, I was like, how much? She was like, they were $350. I said, ooh, all right. So can you also put $350 into your savings account? And we played a game over the next, I'll call it 3.5, 4 years. And she actually retired right on time, just simply because I wouldn't say I tricked her. I just said I wanted her to think big picture about the impulse spending on the shopping and how it was jeopardizing the other parts of her financial plan.
Right.
I didn't get her to stop shopping. I mean, she, to this day, every time I see her, she's always looking fly, and she's never going to stop that. So I'd be a fool to tell anybody on this session is that you're not going to stop this stuff cold turkey, right? You're going to have bouts where you're doing well, bouts where you're not doing so well. But the idea is building in some type of strategy or plan that helps, I'll say, deflect your dollars elsewhere and not just to the shopping or whatever it is you're spending your money on impulsively. We just got to kind of distract when when you get that emotional feel. Do I think about other things than just what it is that I want right now?
Yeah, you're right. And I don't. So that's good. That's definitely good advice. Thank you.
Yeah. And look, y'all, we tend to think that like this process is perfect. I'm not looking for perfection in any of this. If y'all haven't noticed, I've been a denier and I've been a struggler and I've been an impulsive. I'm human. We all are going to go through these things. You just tend to have tendencies. And that's what I want to bring out during this session tonight was like, do you just understand you? And financially, a lot of people do not. So unless you start to really do some reflection, you'll start to see that, every time I'm in a bad mood, I go do X or I go do Y. Just make a note of that every single time. I mean, here and there, I understand, but if it's consistently happening, then we know we need to maybe try to figure something else out. How do I maybe stop this or slowly begin to change? Because this isn't going to be in my best interest to keep doing all this frivolous spending. I know it makes us feel good and whatever it is we're spending our money on, but it's usually short-lived. If you get impulsive, I want you to impulsively save more money. I want you to impulsively put more into your investment account. I want you to impulsively pay down more debt. That's what, if we just make that shift, if we can make that shift, again, I'm trying to change the way you think and you feel. So if I got to think a little bit differently, it's still an impulse, but let it be for something that's going to have more of a positive result than a negative. And again, we're not looking for perfection. This is just maybe the first step. And then we're going to take another step and then another one. And then to Charlotte's point, sometimes you just may not, I'm comfortable with my lifestyle, but I maybe have to implement some strategies to help me still progress and maybe not give up some things that I'm doing. Or let me say it another way. And maybe I need to stop temporarily. So if I can hit the pause button on some impulsive spending and redirect those funds to a plan of mine that are going to be like savings, retirement, investments, and all those types of things, then maybe I say, in 6 months, I can give myself, that spa day that I wanted, or go on the trip with my friends. So build in some type of activity that rewards you for being responsible and doing the right thing financially, and then try to have some types of things that can help you to avoid the, it wasn't a good day. So I don't want to say punishment, but think about something that can maybe help alleviate some of those temptations that will take you down the wrong path. All right. Let me just hop in. Just want to check the chat really quick. This is good. So shopping is my cardio and therapy. That's great. I love it. See, but y'all see how she slid that in there, Nasha? You can get some exercise walking around and shopping, but yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And then, thank you so much. I was just about to answer that question. Okay, perfect. All right, cool. All right. So we got impulsive. So then the last one, actually, we got two. I'm sorry, that's 5. I think I said 4. So my bad. There's 5. So 4 is cautious savers. So these people, pretty much what it says. Like I'm pretty tight with my money. I think things through. I may have some plans in place. I'm a good saver, and that's a very positive thing. So here's the flip side. People who are really good at saving sometimes aren't as great at investing. Saving is great, but saving will only get you so far. And this is simply a play on interest. Wherever you bank, whether it's a bank or a credit union, mostly you're getting probably less than 1%. And that's probably even high or generous. So if I'm I'll say comfortable with like saving money, that is a phenomenal thing because so many people struggle with actually saving. It's not impossible. You just got to set some things up and then you make the commitment. So if you are one of these people who saves a lot, congratulations. And now I'm going to say to you, let's take some of that like energy that you're putting into your savings program, whatever that is, and let's start to invest it. And the reason I say this is that investing means your money is doing a little bit more work than it is in that bank account. That's the difference. So you get, again, I congratulate you on being a saver, but risk can be a good thing. Taking some risk is the only way you can really make money. I mean, because if you don't, here's the play. I got into an argument one time with a participant in a workshop similar to this. We were talking about saving, and the young man said to me, well, I'm gonna keep all my money in the bank. It's safe. It's FDIC insured. He goes down his whole litany of things as to why he saves so well. And I said, cool. So what was inflation last year? And he looked at me kind of funny. I said, if inflation has been roughly 3%, and we won't talk about today's terms because it's a lot higher, but if inflation is 3% and your bank account is giving you less than 1, you're already losing purchasing power. And you can almost see this like aha moment for him where I said, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. It's just the bank or your credit union can't pay you enough. Like, you're working hard to save this money, and it's gonna be there. We know that it's guaranteed to be there. It won't just evaporate. But he was so like cautious that he was foregoing the chance to actually grow his money substantially. And that was kind of the aha moment for him. Charlotte, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Hi. Well, I was just wondering, because I know, there's several rules of thumb, like, for example, you need to have at least 3 months mortgage or rent or something like that in your savings for emergencies. And, like you just said, you should yeah, participate in some type of investment strategy. But how do you analytically determine how much to risk, and versus save versus emergency? How do is there any method, or is there any formula, if you will, for determining that?
There is, and I'll be honest, it's gonna really depend on the individual. So to your point around like emergency savings, and we'll talk about this, of course, in the next session. Some people think 3 months is fine. Other people think 6 months is better. I've got some people who say, I don't have enough money for a year. And I think living through a pandemic taught us why saving is important, or I hope it did. If the pandemic didn't teach you that saving is important, I guess you were already good, because there were people who lost their jobs, who had hours kind of scaled back. And so, people got sick and couldn't go to work. And so you don't know how long you're going to be out, which is why every financial person will always say, let's work on saving money. But again, it's going to be more of a comfort level where, you may say to yourself, well, if I got the 3 months, that's good enough for me, and I'm going to focus my other monies elsewhere. But for some, again, you may need more comfort and say, I need 6 months, because you also got to think, am I a single person, or am I married, or in a relationship? So, is it, I got 2 months worth and my significant other has 2 months? So there's a lot of variables that come into play with the saving, but we got to kind of hash that out. So you really want to look at your situation and say, well, how much do we really need? Minimum? Yeah, you want to have those basic necessities in terms of those expenses covered, because if not, an emergency is bound to happen. But again, you save money. The emergency is more of an inconvenience because you've already saved the money. To your point about risk, and we'll talk about that in the investing section, I think a little bit in retirement also. How much, again, it's going to depend on the person, but it also depends on what goals you have, because there's some rule of thumbs around the younger that I am, I should be more aggressive with my investments. The older that I get, I should be more conservative. But I don't totally agree with those rules of thumb, because I could be young, but maybe I'm just afraid of seeing my account balance drop. So maybe I shouldn't be risky. But I need to understand the opportunity cost. If I play it too safe and I'm young, I don't give my money enough time to really work. Like, you go to work every day. And if you have 30, 40 years till you retire, you want your money going to work right there with you. But if you're not comfortable with the risk, you shouldn't do it. I don't care what I say, what anybody else says. If you're not comfortable, just be very clear around what happens when you don't take a lot of risk in the long run. Short term, you'll be comfortable. Long term, your money will not produce the returns it should. And then on the flip side of that equation, If I'm a lot older, and let's say I'm still thinking about, well, I need to dial back some of my risk. Well, do you know how long you're going to live? You don't. So playing it too safe on that piece may put you in a situation where you may have to go back to work and you're in your 70s. And it happens, y'all. Because if I'm too cautious there, again, I don't produce enough returns to be able to support my lifestyle. So, as I wrap up this cautious savers piece, like I've been that guy. I was a little nervous when I didn't understand investing. So I kept all my money safe at the bank, at the credit union, in a money market, because I just didn't know. But as you learn more and have, I'll say, the ability to take a little bit more risk, we can slowly kind of release some of this fear around risk. You're still a saver at heart, but now we're putting a little bit more of your money at risk so it can work a lot harder for you. Again, you go to work every day. I want your money working just as hard as you. All right. And then the last personality is the planner. So ideally, this is where you want to be. Like, you want to have a game plan of some sort, because it just makes life a lot easier. And some of you apply ferocious planners, and let's say it doesn't have to be with your money, but maybe in some other part of your life, you can just think about a plan and you execute it flawlessly. And I've seen it happen. People have done incredible things with their job, with their business, with their family life, and they are a planner over here. But then for some reason, when I want to talk about money, they can't figure out a thing. Look, y'all, I believe in you. We are all adults here. You all do incredible planning in other parts of your life. And if I can get you to take a smidget of that planning capability or ability and apply it to your financial situation, things will get better. So then we're not worried about some of those impulses, because then we'll say, well, my plan doesn't call for that. So I need to check that. I need to do this. I need to not do that. I need to get better at saying no. Because when you have a plan, even if or when life happens to you, you can get back on track. See, for most of us with our financial plans, we don't have them. So we just keep doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. You'll attend this session, another session tomorrow. And then you just keep getting all this information. You're like, what do I do with all of it? You build out a strategy, you build out a plan. And the plan that you create needs to be unique to you. Now, here's what I'll also say. Having this plan helps you avoid going into this spiral. Well, I take that back. Having a plan, you may say the plan didn't work out according to the plan you had, and that may make you feel some kind of way, make you feel uneasy, make you feel like I could have done better at planning. That's a possibility. Or, when you don't have a plan, you have nothing to reference. So I want you to understand that, life is challenging when you don't have a plan, but even with it, it doesn't always work out in your favor. Again, I'm not looking for perfection here. Working on your financial plan takes time. Charlotte was kind enough to share that, she sat through this session last year, and it's been just, hey, I've been making some steady progress. That's great. You're not where you started at last year. At least I know you're ahead of where you were last year. That gives me comfort knowing that you did something right. Like, congratulate yourself for taking these baby steps. So the planner, it's important that we do these things. And again, I know you all are capable, because you can make plans for like a vacation and fun stuff. I just want you to take some of that energy and apply it to your financial well-being. It's possible, it's doable, but you gotta believe you can do it. All right. So I'm gonna pause there for a second. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? I'm gonna take a quick pause before I hop into the next piece here. We're still good on time here. So
Question.
yes, ma'am.
So ideally, every paycheck, what should we be putting away?
Good question. So I'll take this from your standpoint. How much you want to put away? and, and you don't have to know the answer, but the reality is, what you need money for. So
Right.
let's just say it's for savings, and you might say right now, well, I don't have a savings goal. Set one, and maybe it's just $20. Cool, done. and you do $20 until you can do 25, until you can do 50. So you set the tone for what you save, what you invest, and what you do, because it's unique to you. Because me telling you to save $20, somebody's looking at me sideways right now saying, man, $20 ain't nothing. Well, to you, it might not be nothing, but to you, it could be. So I think we're always looking for this like silver bullet, the golden nugget. How much, how frequent, what's the percentage? How does that number, dollar amount, or percentage really affect you? Because if I've never saved any money before, I need to take my time. I need to dip that toe. So that $20 is me dipping the toe into the water. But if you're like, I want to jump in, just forget dipping that toe, I'm just going to hop in, maybe that's $100. But again, it's really going to boil down to a comfort level, and also to what can I afford? So, if somebody is on a tight budget where you're like, man, I'm like right here on the edge. Look, do $1. Do $1. $1 better than zero. And somebody's going to laugh and say, well, what's $1? If I keep saving $1 and you save zero, I'm beating you in the savings game. And I don't care how much you earn, because if you earn a lot and aren't saving anything, why are you working? Well, I guess just to pay your bills. But you should be one of those bills. But that's I think the fun part for me and what I do as a financial planner is just getting people to make the commitment to themselves. That's it. Because I can say, hey, do $20. If you don't do it, it's not my savings that's not going to get filled up every month or every 2 weeks or however frequent you get paid. You set the tone. And in my role, I should have said this too, as like a financial guy, I'm literally sitting in the passenger seat. And this is a good one because I see you in the car. Like, I'm going to be in the passenger seat. I'm going to say, go left, go right, slow down, watch out, do that. Ultimately, is you on the wheel, is you with the brakes and the accelerator. And that's how you do this thing called financial planning. See, a lot of us, in this analogy of us being in a car, some of us are in the trunk and it's dark and we don't know what we're doing. And the reason we don't know what we're doing because we don't understand our money personality. We don't understand our mindset. That's why this whole first session is just about, I'm not even trying to hype y'all up. I'm just trying to give you the real honest truth around why people struggle financially, because they won't unpack the stuff we're talking about right now. We will make up any other excuse aside from looking ourselves in the mirror. It's not a fun activity, y'all. When you do that self-reflection and you realize, man, I have been messing up, man. You just, And that's how you should look at yourself in the mirror and say, are you happy with the position you're in right now? And if not, what are you willing to do to change it? And I can't give you that answer. It's got to come from within. What do you want to do, and how can I help you get there? All right, just saw a question here in the chat. So how do we make a plan? Gosh, here's what I'll say to that. So how do you start this planning or make it happen? I think you first want to take inventory first. So before you decide what you think you're going to do, what you want to do, what people are telling you to do, just think about what you've done at this moment in time. Maybe you've done very little. Maybe you've done a lot. Maybe things are spread out all over the place. But just take inventory. What do I have in my bank account? Do I have an investment account? Do I have anything for retirement? Do I have insurance? What's my credit looking like? Let me just take inventory. Because even going through that activity of taking inventory helps set the stage for the plan. It's like going to the doctor. You don't walk into the doctor's office and they just prescribe something. They ask you a whole bunch of questions. So I'm going to ask you to do the same thing for your financial plan. Hey, what do you got here? What are you doing there? How do you feel about this? What do you know about that? Asking you those questions. But you don't even need me to take inventory. That's on you. I can give you the tools and remind you, but ultimately you got to be willing and ready to do it. And what I find a lot with financial planning in general is people just keep thinking something else is more important. Well, I'll get to it later, Jasper. It's not a good time. It's never going to be a great time. When are you going to make the commitment? Because every time I see you, you've never made any progress. But you keep complaining about it, right? When I talk about glorifying the struggle, you keep talking about how things are going wrong, but we haven't done anything different to maybe allow things to go right. And when I think about like somebody's overall health, I think it's kind of threefold. It's your mental health, your physical health, and it's your financial. Financial is the one that usually gets, kind of pushed to the side. I'll do it later. Physically, yeah, you need to eat, you should exercise, get some rest, drink some water. We know that. I did all right today eating. Tomorrow, I ain't do that great yesterday, right? So again, you're playing, not looking for perfection, but I've realized that I've got to think about all these things and how not taking care of my financial situation, how that plays out in my life. When you are stressed and don't have money, you're not usually in a good mood. At least I know I was when I ain't have money. I don't want to talk right now. I don't want to have this dialogue. I wasn't a good dude to be around because you're going through stuff financially, which was, kind of transitioning over to other parts of my life. When you stress, maybe you don't eat as much. And then you start losing weight and you're like, that's not a good way to lose weight. Being stressed, I've been there too. Somebody was like, Jasper, you're looking skinny. I was like, I ain't been working out. So, I don't want to lose weight because of stress. It happens, y'all. Stress eats us up, and then we end up in the hospital. Now you're in this whole spiral of like life ain't working, blah, blah. I mean, y'all, I'm being honest here with y'all tonight. Not taking care of your financial house will cause a lot of other issues in your life. Even if it's not perfect right now, when you start putting together a plan of some sort, trust and believe it does get a lot easier. Trust and believe. All right. I'm still good on time. I got a couple more things we'll wrap up here. Let's see. So with inventory, let me make a note here. I'm trying to make some notes of some of these things. And if I missed any of your stuff in the chat, you all just know I will try to make sure we capture it before we log off. So even after we finish up here at the top of the hour, I probably will stay on a few more minutes, Charla and Simone, just so we can, in case we miss something in the chat, I want to make sure I make a note of that. So
yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Roxanne, yeah. So it's a document called the balance sheet, and I'm gonna talk more about it. I think I talk about it in the next section, but if not, Roxanne, I made a note. But the balance sheet is the best tool to take inventory. I'll make a note of that, Roxanne. So in case I don't make the remarks in the next sessions, I'll make sure I got Roxanne. Make sure I make a note. So the balance sheet is the formal document you could use. Honestly, y'all, you can do it on a piece of paper. You don't need no fancy spreadsheet. Look, where is your money? That's the question you got to answer. So we take the simple approach to taking inventory. Where are your bank accounts? Or you do stuff at the credit union. Where are your investment accounts if you have them? Where are your retirement accounts? Do you have insurances? Like, you just go down the list. Just think about everything financial. Where is it? That's what I mean by taking inventory. If you keep money in the mattress at the house, great. Write that down too. Mattress money, shoebox money, whatever it is. That's exactly what you want to do in terms of taking inventory. All right. So we got about a good 15, 20 minutes left. So in the last part of this, so hopefully this was helpful in terms of the understanding your money personality. Just come to grips with it. That's it. That's all I'm asking you to do. So we have, and just as a recap, we have the deniers, we have strugglers, we have impulsives, cautious savers, and the last one you still see here is planners. And maybe you are a mashup of a couple of these. Maybe you're strong in one area but want to do better in another. But just know at some point in life, you've probably been all 5 of these. And the goal would be to just be mindful of it and understand it and do what it takes to get you past whatever hurdle, that's in front of you. Because when you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, it's very easy to move forward with your planning. All right. All right. So this whole planning piece, I mentioned, taking inventory is kind of that first step. And then the very next step after you take an inventory and understand where you are is just set. You got to start some goal setting. And so I love this quote: if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Facts. 100. Like this is legit. Keep aiming at nothing, you're going to hit nothing. I love this. I love it. Whatever the goal is, set it. Set it. If you don't hit it, so what? At least you had something you were focused on. And then you try to, figure out, how can I achieve the goal or surpass it? And, it's a journey. Again, setting a goal and actually working towards it, watch the growth that happens in that process. So I set a goal of many years ago, running a marathon. I wasn't a runner, and I started training. And eventually I've done a couple full marathons. Set a goal, I did it. That's it. Now the journey, I ain't got enough time in the day, but the journey was rough. You get injured, and some days you don't feel like running, and life happens, life gets in the way, but you made this commitment and I got it done. So I want to touch on goal settings as we kind of finish up this evening, because I want you to think about, how you move forward with your plans. Because now I got you in the right mindset. So now we're kind of taking that step and kind of building out this strategy for you. So I like this idea. Well, there's a couple things I'll share here briefly, is the quick win. So this is kind of like my personal way of goal setting. What's something I can do right now, tomorrow, next week? Honestly, y'all just log on to this session. Count that as a win. You showed up. We don't think about this as being a big deal. You're like, well, it's an hour and a half out of my life. No, this is maybe life-changing for some. And you're like, I need to celebrate that I actually showed up today. I logged on. So we got to celebrate some quick wins, because that gets us motivated and driven to keep doing more, whatever more is as it relates to your financial plan. Even in life, running a marathon, I wasn't going to just wake up and do 26.2 miles. So my quick win was, and I live in Oakland. Could I run around Lake Merritt one time and not fall out? Lord knows I couldn't when I first started running. And I was in shape, but I wasn't in runner shape. So I'm around there huffing and puffing. And I swear to y'all, this elderly couple just passed me. I mean, just zooming past me running. And I looked and said, you know what? I'm not where they are, running wise. So let me set some, it's just a win that I can actually do a lap around the lake and not stop. And that was my goal. I used to walk, run until I could run the whole lake and not stop. So set a quick win as it relates to your financial plans. Something today, tomorrow, next week. Get it done and congratulate yourself. If showing up to tonight's session was it for you, you did it. You showed up. Now, hope you show up for the remaining sessions, but if not, you showed up today. And for that, you should congratulate yourself. Celebrate the quick win. All right, next is the big win. So now we've got a little bit of motivation. We got some wins under our belt, but we got our target set on something larger. So maybe I need a whole month to figure something out. Maybe it's 3 months, maybe up until a year. But I've got some big things on my to-do list. I don't know what's on your list, but think about it. What's some things that, hey, when I get that credit card paid off in 6 months, I'm gonna feel free, and my credit score gonna boost. It's gonna go up. It's gonna be boosted. So celebrate the big win. That means you were motivated to start a process or a journey, whatever you were doing, and you have followed through and you got it done. So we want to think about the big wins, something, we can accomplish in a month, all the way up to about a year. Now, after we get past the year, and the goals could be longer than a year if they are a big win. But the last one is your ongoing victories. And these are what I like to call the habits. So we talked about like the impulsives. There's some habits you need to break. We all have them, but we're not maybe going to accomplish them in a year. Maybe we're going to take a lifetime to figure it out. So give yourself some grace. So just acknowledge, because again, we're talking about mindset tonight. Acknowledge that we got some areas to work on. So just slowly begin the process of figuring out, if I make a few adjustments here and there, can I have more financial success later? Some of us, maybe we say, you know what, I got to get it done now. Great. Supercharge that thing and get rolling. But most of us cannot just stop cold turkey and stop doing something that we've done for years. I love talking to adults because people feel like they're going to attend one session and life is going to change. Look, depending how old you are, I'm spending what, an hour and a half with you. There's no way, like an hour and a half versus, I don't know, somebody in their 30s. I've got 30 years worth of habits that I'm not going to break in an hour and a half. Which is why, again, I'm happy that we're able to do this series, because maybe over the course of these 6 sessions, then I'm fighting against 30 years, but now I got a little bit more time in the game, but still nowhere near the amount that I need to really help maybe change you. But we'll see. Everybody's a little different, but I want you to think about those ongoing victories and some of the habits that we just need to be thinking about, and how can we dial them back a bit. So the quick win, the big win, and the ongoing victory is a way you can consider setting some goals. Now, here's an alternate way. And some of you may be familiar with this framework, but it's the SMART goals framework. So this is a tried and true method. Everybody in, gosh, probably every industry has maybe shared this. If this is your first time seeing it, I'm glad I was able to present it to you. Most people may have heard of this, or again, it's just another framework to help you to kind of really think about goal setting. So if it's not the quick win, big win, ongoing victory, maybe you try goal setting and make sure it's a SMART goal. So let me give you an example here, just to kind of round this out. And this is a financial one, so it'll fit right in with this session we're doing here. But let's say I want to save $1,200. That's specific. I know exactly how much I'm trying to save. Measurable. Yeah, I'm gonna check, my savings account every month to see the increase in the value, so I can measure my success or lack thereof. And measuring stuff is important. We set goals and don't put parameters around it. So those are like just wishes, just so y'all know. If you don't set a framework around the goals you set, chances are it's not going to happen. But measuring it, great. Is it attainable? Well, yeah, I can set up direct deposit, $100 a month coming right out of my paycheck, right into my savings account. It's the easiest way to save money, y'all. You don't have to think about it. Every time you get paid, that bucket gets filled up. Done. So I know it's attainable. Is it relevant? Absolutely. I earn enough, and 100 a month I know I can afford it. So I'm not, stressing myself too much. I know it's a number I can commit to, and I should, because again, I want to be the person who saves this $1,200. And so the last one is just time bound. So to make the math easy, in 1 year, I can have $1,200 in my savings account if I just do 100 a month. So your SMART goals should be, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. All right. So let's see, I have 644. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a quick recap of goal setting. And I'm gonna pause for a second. So if you are in a position where you can write something down, whether it's pen and paper or on your phone, just jot down for me. I'm gonna take a moment here because I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Write down a couple of your goals, maybe the top 2 or 3 financial goals you want to accomplish. Just 2 or 3. If you want to do more, have at it. But 2 or 3 goals you want to work on financially. I'm gonna take a moment here just to pause. I'm gonna take a quick breather, give it about, I don't know, maybe about 3 minutes. So if you want to jot down a couple of goals, again, 2 or 3 that you want to work on, go ahead and take a moment here to jot those down and give it some thought. And I'll be back in, give about 3 minutes. I'll come back on and we'll close this thing out. right, we'll take about actually, I'll give it 2 more minutes. So again, just thinking through just a couple of goals you want to accomplish. I want you to write them down, put them in your phone. But yeah, take it out another 2 minutes and give us some thought. Oh, should have said this too. Make sure these goals are like in proper order. Like just be mindful, like when you're setting these goals, like think about, is this the most important thing I should be focused on? I don't know, you tell me, right? These are your goals. But again, think about top 2 or 3. You can do more if you like, and then just think through whether this should be the top priority from a financial planning standpoint. Again, no matter what you write down, are they in the proper order? All right, so take about another 2 minutes, and then we'll pop back in here and close this thing out. All right. All right. So hopefully, hopefully you all will reference that goal piece of paper, the file you put it on, if it's on your phone, just, that is for you. And I think if you could just be realistic about what you need to do, not always what you want to do. And those are fine too, but like, what is that I really need to do to really maybe kind of jumpstart this planning for me? Like those are the goals you want to focus on, because that's what's going to actually continue to motivate you. So goals are always good to revisit. And as life changes, so should your goals, or as you achieve these goals. And I love writing them down, because all it does is serves as your reminder. That's it. Just reminds you what you wrote down. You said you wanted to do it. You sure? If you don't, change it. If it hasn't been something you say, hey, maybe I need to readjust what I've been doing, then okay, great. Maybe I make that adjustment. But it should be a living document, as you achieve goals, cross them off, set new ones. This is an ongoing process that I would say should never end from a financial planning standpoint, but also even in life. Just you want to constantly be challenging yourself to do better and to do more. And yes, ma'am, I see we got a hand, Julissa. Julissa, yeah, go ahead.
This is a little bit odd. Well, I have my goal sets. They're realistic,
but I did see in the chat asking about next class for registration. And if I recall correctly, you did say we need to register for next class. Is that correct?
I believe so. And Charlotte, Simone, if you got me, I think. Oh, go ahead, Charlotte.
Oh, sure. I was just typing that in the chat. The Zoom link that you use to access the session today is the same link that you'll use throughout the series. But yes, if you could RSVP only so that we can anticipate how many will be participating in that for that particular session.
And by RSVP, you mean re-register?
Yes, just put the information in.
Okay.
Okay, please and thank you.
I got it. I will do so. Do we do it like after the meeting or should we do it tomorrow?
Oh, you can do it tomorrow.
No, do it right now. I want to see you
Jasper
here
said
on
now.
Thursday.
In my Zoom link, the name, it's under my daughter's name for when she was doing school online. And I change it every time I log in. But when I got kicked out of class not kicked out of class, when my phone died on me, I had to re-log in and it didn't save the name. But my name's Paula Tapia.
Oh, okay, great.
Lisa's my daughter.
Oh, thank you, Paula. Thank you for coming.
Charlotte, she lying. Her name is Jalissa Brown. She's from the United States.
This is Lisa. How do you guys know her? Because it's under your Zoom still.
Yes. So I would say I would encourage everybody just go ahead and register now, because again, that gives us a heads up of who may decide to attend, because a lot of people register and never show up for these types of efforts. But I think also because we are doing the recordings, you don't get the recording if you don't register. And so I think that's your incentive to sign up, to tell friends, to tell family, to share on social media, because we're just getting started. Like, I'm going to load up as much as I can over these 6 sessions. And again, tonight, I hope was a good kind of starting point to really get you to start thinking about things a little bit differently. And then we'll really kind of dig deep into each one of the topics. And so I don't want people to miss out, or at least, if you don't register, you won't get that recording if that was the only session you wanted to attend. And thank you, Medina. So referrals to CPA, Medina. Let me see here. Let me see, Medina. So I do have people I work with on the tax front. I'm not sure if people need to still do their taxes. It's getting late in the year because you got like a couple of weeks, but a lot of accountants and CPAs are extremely busy because this is their busy season. But Medina, I'll shoot you a note here in the chat directly, Medina. So thank you for bringing that back up. I did miss that, but thank you for bringing that back up.
Jasper, can I make a quick comment about the RSVPs?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So to everyone, when you RSVP, there will be a question along the lines of what are you interested in learning? And if you could specify the date of the workshop you would like to attend, that would be really helpful too.
Perfect.
Katrina, thank you for that point to asset protection. I hope you will be able to attend the life insurance session. So we'll talk about that a little bit in that session. So hopefully you'll be able to attend. And then I'm just making a note. So I guess as we kind of close up tonight, I know we got a couple minutes left. Again, you all, this was, I would say, just the beginning, and hopefully you got some value out of tonight's kind of intro, just getting or dealing with the money mindset, because that is the first part of this journey. And it's the most important, I think. Just being in the right frame of mind is how you do this thing called financial planning. Katrina, I'm going to touch on crypto maybe during the investment session, which is towards the end of the month. I don't go into heavy on crypto, but I'll explain why during the investment session. So please make sure to register for that session, because I already know what's about to happen if I start down that road. But I will give you my honest feedback about cryptocurrencies and other investment opportunities during the investment session. So please, if that's the only other one you attend, Katrina, I'm totally fine, but just come through, make that happen. Medina, please stop posting those meme stocks. So we're going to talk about, so Medina, yeah, the investment session, I'm sure we'll get a lot of people probably gravitating towards those sessions. And I'll be totally honest with you all, people will skip credit, money management this session. They'll show up for the investments and retirement, and then I'll start asking questions, and it'll make you wish you would have attended these earlier sessions. So we're doing all of these in a very specific order. If you our money, I'm just realistic in understanding that I should probably go in order. Because again, we start hopping around and getting distracted, we don't get the results. So we can get distracted with all these things that are happening in the world, but what is it that we need to be doing right now? And that's what plagues a lot of people when it comes to having financial success. So, but yeah, please, you all register, come to all of them if you can. Please share this with your family, your friends, share it on social media. I mean, I really want us to, if we can, double the number of attendees we had tonight and try to keep that for the whole month. I think that's also a testament to how motivated people are driven to get this information and perhaps share it, because I'm only doing it during Financial Literacy Month, but I actually do this every month out of the year. So we're focusing on it for April, but this is what I live and breathe, every day of the week. So we're almost here at the top of the hour. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here for session number 1. Hopefully I will see all of you and more at the remaining sessions this month. And so as Simone mentioned earlier, please make sure you register for every single session. And we'll constantly remind you during these sessions to register again, because we want to keep it fresh and flowing again, that's kind of your reminder, hey, I signed up, I'll be there the next one. So with that, I bid you all good evening. And again, I'm going to stay on here for a few more minutes, Charlotte and Simone, to make sure we got everything in the chat. But for everybody else, we will see you all Thursday nights, hopefully all and more. And we'll be talking about money management. So with that, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you all for coming. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Charlotte Montgomery. I'm the program consultant for OCUR, and appreciate all of you all for attending this evening. This is like my favorite workshop of them all, and credit is my all-time favorite. He's dynamite on credit. So definitely attend that one for sure. And if you have any questions for the staff, please email info@ocurnow.org and submit your questions. We'll be happy to share those with Jasper too, so he'll be prepared when he next sees you. Okay, thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.